And I had told her, I'm like, you know, I'm on parole and he's not supposed to be here because he have warrants and everything else. And I don't want the police pulling up over here and see both of us is a sex offender. And I don't want to go back to jail for his fault or your fault. And I showed.
Welcome to Get Your Life. Today's hearing centers around a young man who at 18 was dating a 16-year-old. Both were attending school. Now, I pose a question. After you watch this video, do you believe he should be labeled a sex offender? Comment down below.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Committee on Parole is called back to order. Members of the panel are Bonnie Jackson, Mr. Pete Freeman. My name is Tony Marabella. I'll be chairing today. This is a revocation hearing. Are you Mr. Travison Lavallee?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lavallee, would you please give me your full name and DOC number?
Travison Lavallee, DOC number 569495.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lavallee, I want to talk to you. This is a revocation hearing today. I want you to understand what our procedure is. I'm going to cover your parole revocation questionnaire. Do you recall filling out a questionnaire about your parole revocation?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about that in a second. Then I'm going to read to you the allegations of how it's alleged you violated your parole. And I'm going to ask you at that point, when I read each allegation, what to plead either guilty, not guilty, guilty with the statement, or not guilty with the statement. Then we'll have a full discussion of your allegations after that. Do you understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that parole revocation questionnaire. Do you happen to have it with you?
No, sir.
Can you see it on the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
And all of those things that you wrote there are true?
Yes, sir.
And you wish to speak on your behalf today?
Yes, sir.
Are you prepared to go forward today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm now going to read you the allegations against you. It is alleged that you violated rule number 3 in that you failed to reside at your listed address of 429 Kirby Drive in Marksville, Louisiana, evidenced by multiple unsuccessful attempts to contact you. A written statement was obtained stating you do not reside at 429 Kirby Drive in Marksville. No other address has been approved by our agency. How do you plead to that charge, Mr. Lavallee?
Well, actually, I plead not guilty because when I first got out, I was living.
You'll get an opportunity to explain everything later. Right now, all I need to know is how do you plead? You plead not guilty to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 13, conditions. Special conditions, you failed to abide by the conditions of the Department of Corrections sex offender contract by being in direct contact with juveniles. Multiple photos were found on your personal cell phone with pictures of you and juveniles. Each picture was time-stamped, dates of February the 2nd of 2022, February the 20th of 2022, February the 26th of 2022, and February the 27th of 2022. And on 3/3/2022, you were found in the presence of 3 juveniles, which you admitted were your nieces and nephews. You failed to attend sex offender treatment as required by the contract. All of these violations are a violation of the provisions of Louisiana Revised Statute 15:538. How do you plead to those charges?
Well, to the second one, I plead guilty.
Which is the second one?
That's pictures of me and my kids in my phone.
Okay.
And
how about failing to attend sex offender treatment?
I attended.
All right.
Not guilty.
So you pleading guilty to some, not guilty to some?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Lavallee, your case was assigned to me, so I'll be the one to begin our interview, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lavallee, how old are you, sir?
30.
30 years old?
Yes, sir.
When did you get, and you're currently in prison on what charges?
Right now,
Yeah,
simple escape, and possession with the intent to distribute.
okay, and when did you get out on parole supervision?
The 2022, January 19th.
Well, January 19th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
And where did you put down as your address where you would be living?
429 Kirby Drive.
Okay, and who lives there?
My sister, Shaniqua Lavalaise.
Mr. Kirby, you apparently either pled guilty or were found guilty of carnal knowledge of a juvenile in the past. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
That was in 2011.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 18.
And how old was the victim in that case?
16.
Was she your girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
And what was your sentence?
3 years.
3 years in prison or 3 years on supervised probation?
3 years in prison.
So you went to prison for 3 years?
Yes,
You
sir.
got out?
And yes, sir. And
Were you
24.
on supervision at that time?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever do any sex offender treatment?
Not while I was incarcerated.
Understand. When you got out, did you ever do any sex offender treatment?
No, sir.
Well, a moment ago, you said you did, and we're going to
No.
sex.
No, I'm talking about when I
You're
got
talking
out.
about that offense. Okay, it's my fault for confusing you. Okay.
Right.
So after that, you didn't do any sex offender treatment.
No, sir. Not when I came home in 2014 from doing my 3 years.
When you came home in 2014, were you aware that there were requirements of your living in certain places or restricted from living in certain places and your inability to be around juveniles? Were you aware of that?
No, sir. Because they told me that all I had to do was just come to the Martinsville Sheriff Department and register, and that I was basically a free man.
So from when did you get arrested and go to jail on the charges you're currently on parole for?
Well, actually, I got locked up again in 2017, and I came home in 2018. And that's when I started doing sex offender classes in 2018.
Okay, so tell me how that came about. When you got out of prison in 2017.
No, 2018.
2018. Why did you start doing sex offender classes in 2018?
Because I came home and I still was on parole.
Okay, and that's when you first learned you had to do some things?
Yes, sir.
And what were those things you were required to do?
Well, I had to go to a class, and I had to pay $125 per class, and and I couldn't live around no school, and I couldn't live around no park. And my parole officer, he understood that I had kids, and he told me, long as they mom was right there with me, with the kids, that it was okay for me to be right there with them.
As long as there was some supervision, it was your understanding you could be around juveniles.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't be around them alone.
Yes, sir.
How many of those classes did you go to?
Actually, in 2018, I went to one because I got back incarcerated.
Okay. Now, when you got out in January of this year, when did you go back to jail? How long have you been in jail this time?
3 months.
Okay, so this is the end of May, so early February. So from January until you got picked up in February or March, whenever it was, I think it was March 2nd.
March 3rd.
Did you go to any classes?
Yes, sir. I attended one on my cell phone.
Sex offender classes?
Yes, sir.
Who was that through?
Mr. I forget his name. Is a man and a lady.
Okay, and what did they talk about?
They talked about all type of stuff, sir.
Sex offender things?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Lavallee, this is critically important,
Yes,
okay?
sir.
I need you to be perfectly honest with me,
Yes, sir, I am.
okay? Because there have been some allegations that you aren't living where you're supposed to be living. Your sister says you haven't lived there. They found you there at your mother's house. Now, if that's all true, then perhaps we need to find a better place for you to be. But if you tell me that isn't true and we all believe it is true, that's going to be a real problem.
Yes,
You know
sir.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. See, actually, he didn't find me there. I got called there. I had came from Walmart.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that in just a second.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, you were required to live on Kirby Street, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mother lives on Martin Luther King Drive.
Yes, sir.
Now, from the time you got out in January of 2022 until March, when you got arrested, where did you live and sleep?
At Kirby Drive.
Why does the probation officer say your sister, who you were supposed to be living with, wrote a letter that said you never spent the night there? Why would she say that?
Cause me, her, and her boyfriend, we got into it. I gave her some money for the rent, $150, and she had let him took it. And I had told her, I'm like, you know, I'm on parole, and he's not supposed to be here because he have warrants and everything else, and I don't want the police pulling up over here and see both of us is a sex offender, and I don't want to go back to jail for his fault or your fault. And so, and I showed my parole officer the text message that she had sent to me, and that's how my parole officer ended up seeing the pictures of my kids in my phone.
What was the text message that she sent you?
She was telling me that I have to find another address and that I can't no longer live with her.
Now, is that why you went to stay with your mother?
Yeah, I only stayed over there one night, and then that was March 3rd.
And that's when the probation officer came?
Yes, sir.
Were you working, Mr. Lavallee?
Yes, sir.
Where were you working?
I was working for a cement company, Brickland.
How long had you been working with them?
Since I got out.
Okay. Were you working every day?
Yes, sir. Monday through Friday.
Are you a cement finisher?
I'm a bricklayer.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
For the past 4 years.
And will you have that job back if you're not revoked?
Yes, sir.
How much time are you looking at if you get revoked?
I have 2 years left on parole, about 8 months.
Let me ask you this. Your mother lives within 1,000 yards of the school.
Yes, sir.
Can't live there according to the registration.
Yes, sir.
Is there somewhere that you can live that would meet your qualifications?
Yes, sir. My dad just bought a brand new house and everything just for me.
Now, these children that you have photographs with in your phone that you said your probation officer found, who are those children?
One of them is my little boy, and the other
son.
He's 8.
Okay. Who else are in the pictures?
And my 2 nephews.
Okay. And where were those pictures taken?
At their mom's house.
Okay. And was their mother there?
Yes, sir.
Any of those pictures that were taken were taken when you alone were with those children?
No, sir. One of them took alone.
Okay. And it's your understanding that the rule was you couldn't be around juveniles unless there was someone there to supervise.
Yes, sir.
I think that's all.
No.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we vote, Mr. Lavallee?
Well, what can I say that, is, I'm not going to be in 100 feet of a school. And, if I can't be around my kids, I'm just going to have to wait until I guess I get off parole or whatever.
Do you support those children?
Yes, sir. I pay child support for them.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Lavallee, sounds like there's a lot of confusion going on. You were trying to do the right thing, it sounds like to me, in staying away from someone who had warrants. You're not supposed to be around a school. You spent the night. You were very honest with us today. You were working. You're supporting your family. You're doing all the things that you're supposed to do. My vote today is to not revoke you, but you need to get an approved place where you're going to be able to live. You can live with your father. That sounds like that's okay. But my vote today is not to revoke, but you're not going to be released until you provide to your parole officer an appropriate place where you're going to be living at that is appropriate. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then I want you to sit down with your parole officer and y'all discuss and make sure that you're clear on what you can do with your children and not with your children. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's my vote. Ms. Jackson.
All right, I agree with Mr. Marabella, Mr. Lavallee, being a sex offender and a tough box sometimes to get out of. But my vote is do not revoke, conditional on an approved residence. So you give that residence to your parole officer, and if it meets the criteria, then you will be released so that you can live at that house that you then had fully.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I concur with both of my colleagues. Just make sure that it's approved, and also make sure you return to those classes. I think that's probably Christoph and Associates that you go to the classes with.
Yes,
So
sir.
make sure you go to the classes and try to get something out of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Lavallee, you have 3 votes, not to revoke, but conditionally upon your getting a suitable residence. It sounds like you're really trying to do the right thing. You got a job, continue to do that. And I hope you can get the place where your father's talking about for you.
Yes, sir.
So good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
You appreciate it. Yeah.
The time is 9:22. We will close out at Inmate Parish.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Be sure to comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts.